Here we are. Welcome to another episode of the Battleground Podcast. It just so happens that this Saturday, going down on pay-per-view and fight, you can watch Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill, and a guy who has pretty much made the pay-per-view at his own event. Let's bring our guest on the show. Sami Callihan joins us. The Draw. Sami, how you doing tonight, sir?
I don't like your intro. You got to do it again. You need a little more muster, a little more bass in your voice.
A little bit more bass. Well, I mean, the thing is like this is your event coming up on Saturday. You've got the Barbed Wire Massacre match. I mean, I have a feeling right now we're only 2-3 weeks into 2021, potential match of the year candidate right there.
We're starting it off hot, man. Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill last year is absolutely amazing. And one thing Impact Wrestling does better than anyone else right now is pay-per-views. I don't think we've had a bad pay-per-view since the new regime took over 3 years ago. And this Hard to Kill
And Sami, you mentioned that Impact, since the new regime has taken over, pay-per-views have been amazing, and every one we've seen has been phenomenal. And it's one of those ones that you have to watch when the pay-per-view happens. You have to watch every Tuesday night on Twitch and Access TV, because if you miss something, you're out of the loop.
Impact on a regular basis has one of the best episodic wrestling television shows right now. You look at any of the major companies, I don't think anyone does it better than Impact Wrestling. And it's about time that people quit sleeping on Impact Wrestling and check it out. I know Impact of old has left a bad taste in people's mouth, but over the last 3 years, Impact each week gets better and better and better and better and better. And they're the one company that isn't afraid to go a little bit out of the box. They're not afraid to offend some people. I think it's the closest to the Attitude Era that anyone right now is really doing.
Right. And the thing that we love about Impact is, like, say, for example, you don't have Access TV, but you have access to the internet or your phone.
If you have internet, you have Impact. If you got internet, you got Impact.
And that's the cool thing we like about it, is the fact that you can watch it on Twitch. And that's a very innovative thing, is you can, in real time, as you're watching Impact, chat with all the fans as it's going on.
100%. And the way wrestling fans and just people as a whole now consume their content, it's way different. Between YouTube, between Twitch, between being on Access TV, there is a lot of people watching Impact Wrestling, and the numbers grow every week.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, a lot of more eyes are coming on with the sample of Kenny Omega coming over with Don Callis and some other stuff. But I want to talk about this Saturday, the Barbed Wire Massacre match. And of course, you and Eddie, no strangers at all. Of course, the infamous baseball shot heard around the world, back in 2018, with it bringing major mainstream audience with that incident. Were you surprised at the response that event, or did it play out like you had in mind?
I'm not surprised at anything anymore, but I take the cards that I'm dealt and I run with them. That moment was a moment that something like that maybe happens to your career once in a lifetime, and you either turn your head in shame or you can just take it on the chest and just keep going. And it's something that I think it's one of the best things that happened to Impact Wrestling. I think it really put a lot of eyes back on Impact. It's one of the best things that happened to my career. It's one of the best things that happened to Eddie Edwards' career, because it allowed him to branch out and be a different character than just the normal technical wrestler that he had been for so many years prior.
Right. And, that was the thing, is like, I kind of was one of the fans that would gradually kind of watch Impact. And then when that started showing up all over Twitter, I was like, okay, what just happened? And then all of a sudden I got back into Impact and I'd watch it every week. And like you said, I mean, since the new regime, the upswing has been amazing. I mean, you have to watch every week or you're going to miss something. What is one thing you would like to see improve on Impact, or maybe push for moving forward?
I don't even know if it's so much improve. I just think it's doing some of the same that we've been doing. And I think Impact Wrestling does cinematic wrestling better than anyone else right now, between backstage promos to matches. I think anything Impact Wrestling can do to be different, not just be like every other television show, the better. And that's what they've been doing. That's the thing that they got to continue to do, because that's become their identity. And right now, Impact Wrestling has a little bit for everybody. It's a true buffet of professional wrestling. You like hardcore, they got hardcore. You like technical wrestling, they got technical wrestling. You want awesome knockouts matches, they have one of the best knockouts divisions on the entire planet. You like 5-star classics, Impact Wrestling has that too, and it has long-term storytelling that a lot of other wrestling companies are extremely lacking.
Right. And you talk about the cinematic thing with the, the Wrestler House, that documentary every week of like trying to figure out what's happening. That was great. And then, like you said, the cinematic matches have been phenomenal. And, something else that's really cool is the fact that you just re-signed with Impact. So what is it about Impact that makes you feel like it's home?
I love Impact Wrestling. It has become my home. I don't think it's any secret that I I wave this Impact flag harder than anybody else, and that's where me and Eddie Edwards we have a lot of differences. That's one thing we have in common. I have to respect him for. Eddie Edwards, as well, is the heart and soul of Impact Wrestling. We're two guys that wave this flag harder than anyone else, and we're loyal to this company because this company means everything to us. I love Impact Wrestling. I loved Impact Wrestling when I was younger, and it was a big thing for me to be one of the people that helped change this company and make it better again. And I feel like I've done that over the last 3 years, and that's why I signed a multiple year deal because I love Impact Wrestling. I want to be the face of Impact Wrestling, and I want to see Impact Wrestling continue to grow into being one of the biggest wrestling companies on the planet.
Yeah, and right now they're making all the right moves and doing all the right things and being in the limelight for what it comes to wrestling because I remember going to Impact Wrestling back when it first started when it was the NWA TNA days at the fairgrounds. Every Wednesday night I was there and it's cool to see how things have evolved and we've had other people on and talk about where that one regime and Impact kind of made it to where it wasn't desirable to watch. And then now the new regime comes in and it's must see TV every week.
It's because they're taking the shackles off the wrestlers. They're taking the shackles off the talent. They're up for ideas. They're up for letting us think outside of the box. They're not going to paint us into a corner and be like, "Yo, this is what has to be." If you have an idea, 9 times out of 10, they're going to listen to it. That's the biggest thing about this office and this regime is this office and regime actually cares. They're one phone call away. It's not like other companies where people beat around the bush and you got to talk to one person that leads you to another person, that leads you to another person. Our bosses are at every tapings. Our bosses are one phone call away, and our bosses actually care about us.
And you can actually tell, like watching the problem or not watching the product, like you guys are legitimately having fun. Like you could tell there is creative freedom. You get to do what you want. And like, for example, the storyline with you and Ken Shamrock was absolutely phenomenal.
Ken Shamrock. He's the man. Look at him. He's in the best shape of his career. He's becoming the Ken Shamrock of old once again. If you had told 14-year-old Sami Callihan that he'd be teaming with Ken Shamrock and be best buds with him, I'd tell you you're out of your mind. But now I'm grown ass man Sami Callihan, and I'm busting my ass to make sure myself and Ken Shamrock get exactly what we want, and that's to be the face of Impact Wrestling.
And Ken's been on this show before, and he has some history with TNA going back to its early start of
First champion.
yeah, the first champion. Because I remember I was there that night when it all happened. I was like, this is awesome. And for his age, he's still going like 110%. It's phenomenal to see that. And of course, with you guys tagging up and working together, that just made it even cooler.
Absolutely. Ken Shamrock's the man. And some of the things that I have planned for him going on to 2021 is going to shock some people.
Oh boy. Oh, I mean that's going to be some interesting stuff to watch. And of course, Hard to Kill is this Saturday at 7 Central on pay-per-view and Fight TV.
He's
And
a
also,
train killing machine. What's not fun about a train killing machine?
right. And of course, over on our social media right now, you can actually win a code to watch Hard to Kill thanks to our friends at Fight TV. And I know, Sammy, you've got a code on your social media as well that you're giving away to watch Fight.
I
Uh,
always do.
Hard to Kill
I
this
want
week.
people to watch this company. The more people, the better.
So definitely go follow Sammy and check out our contest as well. But something really interesting that happened, and Impact made a lot of waves on this one, and it kind of brought some more people to it of intergender wrestling. And of course, you had the program with Tessa, and even in 2021, a lot of people are still like intergender wrestling. But what would you say to those people that are like not on the side of intergender wrestling? And would you like to
It's
see
not
more?
intergender wrestling. It's just pro wrestling. I
Right.
think in 2021, you want inclusion. Impact Wrestling is going to give you inclusion like it's supposed to be. And people might get offended by intergender wrestling, but they're okay with the undead wizard throwing lightning bolts in 1998. I think that's a
True.
little bit hypocritical. Professional wrestling can be for everyone. Professional wrestling can be whatever you want it to be. And that's the great thing about professional wrestling. You don't have to paint yourself into one box and be that one thing. You can be anything you want to be in professional wrestling. And that's the great thing about professional wrestling.
Right. And that was when we saw
My
it.
opinion. My opinion.
When we saw all that go down between you and Tessa, I was like, they couldn't have picked a better two dynamics to go at
We
it for
won
the
match of the
title.
year. Case closed. By voted by the
Exactly.
fans. We won
Like
match of the year.
when they came to you with that idea, what was going through your mind of that thought process of like, here's how the story's going and here's how it's going to end.
Yes. I remember someone else turning down a storyline with Tesla because they didn't believe in intergender wrestling, which is okay. Everyone can have their own opinion. Like I said, professional wrestling can be whatever you want it to be. But I took it as a challenge. And I said, you know what? intergender wrestling may have a bad stigma, and I'm about to go in there and kick the door down and show just why I'm as good as I am and why intergender wrestling could be whatever you want it to be.
Right. And watching that match of the year that all the fans voted on, like it legitimately was match of the year because you didn't hold anything back. She didn't hold anything back. And you gave it your all in that match.
It's a story. It's a
And
story.
it was phenomenal storytelling. And we loved every minute of that whole storyline. So Impact kind of shocked the world last month when it was revealed that Don Callis and Kenny Omega were aligned, and Impact
The
and
invisible hand.
the invisible hand kind of
That damn invisible hand.
it seemed like Impact and AEW were kind of working together, and scrolling through social media the night that happened, it seemed like you guys had no idea about it. So did you find out when everybody else in the wrestling world find out? And
100%.
are
And I'm
you
all for it. I'm all for everyone working together. Like, why can't we all live in one crazy Marvel Cinematic Universe?
exactly? And that's the way it should be because I mean, as wrestling fans, you want to see everybody work together. And there's so many potential dream matches that you can happen to have because I remember scrolling through social that night it happened and you kind of called somebody out on that. And that kind of leads me to my next question is if this happens, is there anybody in AEW that you'd like to have a match with?
There's a lot of people. I think me and John Moxley have a huge history that I don't think we've really put to bed. And I think I've been calling him out for the last 4 years. A match between Sami Callihan and Chris Jericho is what the world needs.
Yes. I mean, if you give me those two matches,
I
your
mean, he's
other.
already wearing a bandana around his neck and carrying a baseball bat. He might as well go one on one with the draw. Demo God versus the draw. Make it happen.
Is that a copyright infringement right there? That
I don't copyright things because I'm not scared like that.
Oh man, this Saturday, Hard to Kill is going to go down on pay-per-view and Fight. It starts at 7 o'clock. So let's kind of finish this up with that. What can we expect to see between you and Eddie? Because this is going to be a very brutal match, especially being a barbed wire massacre match.
3 years in the making. Long-term storytelling at its best. And me and Eddie Edwards, we've never had that true blow-off match. We've had the fight in the woods. We went our separate ways. We came back. We went our separate ways. We came back. I know some people might be sick of seeing Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards, but it had to come to this moment. Everything from the last 3 years have led to this one moment. Impact Wrestling, Hard to Kill, possibly one of the biggest pay-per-views in Impact Wrestling history. They're going to have the most eyes on it in Impact Wrestling history. And what better way to make history than doing Barbed Wire Massacre 4? This is a match that's only happened three times in history before this. So this will be the fourth. And we're not doing a typical barbed wire massacre match. This is going to be something completely new, completely different. It's going to bring barbed wire massacre to that next level.
Oh man, and it's going to be nuts to watch this weekend. And you said it's the fourth one. Now, are you in your mind knowing that this is it for you and Eddie, or could you see there potentially being maybe later down the road, maybe you two tag together and go after the tag team titles?
Honestly, you never know. Crazier things have happened in professional wrestling, but it's one of those things that had to lead to this. We need this moment to truly prove who's on the right end of the spectrum. It's one of those things. Do I think this is the end? I don't think it's ever going to be over between me and Eddie Edwards. We might be old men in wheelchairs still fighting until the day we die.
Man, and it's like you said, long-term storytelling and watching you two go at it, and just it is absolutely amazing to see how far you guys have come. And it's when you think Impact, when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, when you think Impact, the faces are going to be you and Eddie.
100%. That's history.
And that's it. Sami, I appreciate you taking the time out and hanging out with us tonight. Of course, Hard to Kill this Saturday at 7 o'clock on pay-per-view and Fight. Where can people keep up with you at on social media?
I mean, we're just battling on air, man. I mean, that's the name of the show. But you want to check me out on social media and check me out on Twitter at the Sami Callihan, Instagram at official Callihan, or you can check out my Twitch, which will be rolling again in the next couple weeks. Twitch.tv/real Sami Callihan. You can buy my merch at shopimpact.com as well as CallahanMerch.com.
There it is. Sami the Draw. Thank you so much for being
on. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It just came in and I was like, what better way to rock it with a
collar and elbow is destroying it with the shirts right now.
They are phenomenal with the shirts. Sami, thank you once again for being on the show tonight and looking forward to that victory on Saturday.
Anytime, man.